I would choose.
Welcome to City Council meeting tonight. Let's go ahead and call our meeting to order. I'd ask Council Smith if he would lead us in a prayer and pledge allegiance.
Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we're thankful again to be here to do the work that needs to be done for the city. Lord, we pray that you lead, guide, and direct this council as we go through this evening, Lord. For in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Terry Lamar,
Here.
Toya Shropshire,
Here.
Dennis Mann,
Here.
Steve Smith,
Here.
Randy Chipwood,
Here.
Beth Larkin,
Here.
Chris Duncan,
Here.
Laura Seaver,
Here.
Item 2, petitions from the audience. There are none. We'll go through our department head reports. Building inspector is not here. By the way, a building inspector has a medical thing that he does twice a month, and one of those times is here. That's the reason why we've not seen him. So we'll move right on to emergency management. Mr. Johnny Jansen.
I'm just gonna let you know, the last few weeks, I've been working on updating the emergency operation plan, which includes the city. I'll get it on the mayor, or the agenda next council meeting, if that's okay, to get approval, but I wanted to leave it, with you, in case anybody doesn't have anything to do, would like some extra reading.
Sure.
There you are, that way you kinda know what you're, what you'd be approving, next council meeting.
We approve that annually, I believe.
Yes, each year. The only major changes that was done is the health department completely redid theirs after COVID. So all the stuff that they learned that they should have done or wished they'd have known beforehand, they made a bunch of changes to it. But other than that, it's pretty much the same type of stuff.
Would you like to update the gallery and those who would be listening in on the possible weather that might be coming in tonight?
Yeah, it's supposed to come in probably while you're asleep, 3 or 4 or 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, sometime in that time frame. Not everybody's gonna get severe weather, but the ones that do, it could be pretty strong. 80-mile-an-hour winds would be the main threat.
So no nighttime fishing.
Huh?
No nighttime fishing today.
No nighttime fishing. Well, if you do, you just be done by 3 or so. You'd be good after that.
I'm gonna put it at 80 mile an hour. Is that available digitally where you can
Yeah.
email it to us?
Yeah, if you'd like, I can
Please.
email it to the mayor, and he can.
I think I sent you, you got a text today, I believe. Or a-
No, I'm talking about the,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, sure,
Yeah, I can email it to the mayor. He can email it to all of you if you'd like.
sure.
Can we get that in our agenda packet? No, I'm kidding.
Probably not.
There's a packet right there. You can read the book.
300 pages.
That one I'll read off the computer.
Mighty good.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Fire Department? Recognize Chief BK, yeah.
How are y'all?
Excellent.
We're running through some issues with some of our trucks. We got some trucks down. The lighter truck being one of those. One of the engines is thrown a fault, so the guys are kind of been working through that, trying to figure out what we can and get parts and get them in the shops. But that's what I got for y'all. Y'all got anything for me?
Oh, question, I don't know if this is the right, the other night, there was all kinds of stuff on Facebook and everything about a boom. It was heard from Inola to Salina to Locust Grove and everything. It was Sunday night about, what time was it, 5 something or 7 something? Have you heard anything about that? We're getting all kinds of questions asked.
No, and I mean, I hate that y'all blame us for a big loud explosion. No, we didn't run any calls for that. We kind of got a couple of them, but we've had some issues with some fireworks in neighborhoods and some stuff like that, but we didn't run any calls like that.
I felt it.
Well, they had a meteorite that came in and hit Texas and did the same thing, and I just wondered if y'all had heard maybe.
We haven't heard anything, and the boys are keeping pretty tight-lipped position, so. No, but we didn't run anything that would have caused anything for anybody to hear.
No, we were just wondering if you'd heard
No,
why.
A meteorite exploding would make a big noise, so if they had one that same night, that could have been it.
Could have been the
Because
one.
them things are loud.
But no, we didn't run on anything like that.
Okay,
in reference to
all right.
explosion.
There was all kinds of people just wondering what the noise was, so.
Yeah, no, I
If
don't
you
know.
can hear it all the way from Inola to Salina, then something something was coming across.
Yeah, well, I must have been sure enough deep in my sleep.
Yeah,
Anybody missing a balloon or?
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Report from golf course, recognize Bill Cannageezer. Bill is chairman of our park board, and Dennis was not able to be here to give reports tonight.
Yeah, Dennis had a previous engagement, he couldn't make it tonight, but I've got a little report here that, our revenue for February is up despite all the rain and everything we've had. We're up 4,000 ahead of last year. And to date, our annual revenue is projected to be 63,000 more than it was last year. So we're doing real well there. The calendar's getting filled up with golf outings. We're getting to tournaments. April, we got all the high school tournaments coming. We've got about four or five high school tournaments gonna be here. The state, our regional and conference tournaments for the boys and girls are gonna be here. So it's getting busy.
Very good. Thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you.
The library, recognize our librarian, Ms. Carrie Rarrett.
You guys have our stat sheets at your chairs. January was a pretty good month for us. And a reminder, when you look at December's numbers, we were only open for 4 days in December. So those numbers are super duper low for the month, but pretty good for 4 days. Our programming number, the event attendance, it's 318 for January. One of those programs was our Welcome Home Party, and we estimate we had about 200 people for that. So in a normal January month, it would have been about 118 people attending our events. And we had 11 events, not counting the Welcome Home Party, so just over 10 people per event, which is not too bad. Do you guys have any questions for me?
On the door count, what's different now than before?
So almost every piece of our door counters is broken. And
You actually got a door counter system.
we did, yes, and the library board last month agreed to let us purchase new door counters, so that's just in the process. I'm hopeful that we'll have those pretty quickly and get them installed pretty fast. But the way the door counters work, it's a break beam that shoots a beam across the doorway, so when you
Yeah.
go through it, it counts as one. And then we just divide by 2 every day. So someday we will have a door counter again, but not yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Parks and Cemetery. No report tonight. Police and Animal Shelter. Recognize Chief Nichols.
Good evening.
And Ms. Sams.
We provided our stats for the packet earlier. And if you all have any questions for police or the animal shelter here, we'll try to answer them if we can.
Could you just explain the shelter report, just so I think I understand everything.
I mean, it looks like we took in 56 animals and the outgo was 48. I wish that meant that we only had 8 animals left there to adopt out, but that's not really the case. But I feel like this was a good month for us.
Is there any questions on, like Chris, on the adoptions or?
Yeah, just to give a public forum to explain what's going on. Maybe we'll get more interest in having people adopting dogs out if we
Okay.
just share a little bit about the process.
So most of the time our adoption fees are $85 for the dogs and $86 for the cats. They would be completely vetted, dewormed. They would be vaccinated and also spayed or neutered.
How many animals do we currently have, roughly? I know you don't have an exact figure.
Currently, there's probably about 34 dogs and probably around 25 cats.
Okay, so
Are you looking to adopt?
I'm not,
I mean,
but
everybody took
somebody-
one here tonight.
but
That'd be
somebody
great.
may be, and
Yeah.
it'd be better for them to be adopted than some of the alternatives, so.
And we do have specials from time to time. We get
Yes.
donations for spay and neuter programs, and that way we're able to make a really reduced rate to the public to help them obtain one, should they want one.
There is a few that's there that their adoption was actually paid for by one of our other adopted dogs. They sent in like $1,000 donation, and that's what they wanted it to go for, was the dogs that were there the longest to get them out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
I just wanted some advertising for it.
I got
that's
you.
all.
Hey, I'm good for that.
Thank you. Our rec center, recognize Jessica Tiger.
Hi. I just wanted to first apologize for not being here for the last couple of meetings. I have a senior who's playing her last basketball games, and so thank you for letting me be there. And I appreciate Houston filling in for me. I think he gave a pretty good report 2 weeks ago, and so you know our numbers are up, and we're still very busy. February's been really busy. We're dealing with a lot of HVAC issues right now, and so I'm just trying to stay on top of that. Today we discovered we've got some issues with the exhaust components that are on top of the roof, so BK came right out and they tested everything to make sure we don't have any issues within the building, which we don't, so that's a good thing. But that'll be something that needs to be addressed. So working on that. If you saw the post on Facebook, we do have a pool heater issue as well, which is creating a lot of frustration for our members. And basically that pool heater is done, but we're babying it as much as we can to keep it going so that we can keep the pool open. But what happens is it just decides to shut down at random times. And if we're there, we can get it going again if we notice it. But if it's in the middle of the night, you know, your morning swimmers are coming into cooler temperatures than they like. So we were hoping with the Facebook post to just inform people. And sometimes when you understand, then, you know, you can give us be a little more patient with us. But we are trying our best to keep it going. We do have that money budgeted for a new one. Mayor and I made sure to include that this year. So my goal is to hopefully have 3 bids by the March 6th board meeting so that we can go ahead and get that process started and get that purchased as quickly as possible. But other than that, we did interview 5 candidates for the director position. We narrowed it down to 2. We've brought both of those in. They have met with a couple board members and our staff, and we feel confident we can recommend someone for that March 6th board meeting in a couple of weeks. So both extremely qualified. It was a problem because they were both amazing, and so it's a good problem to have, but we will pick one, and we're excited about having a great replacement. So do you all have any questions for me?
Thank you, Jessica. Street Department, Mr. Buddy Glenn.
Well, for the loud boom, that was just me out there at the house getting rid of skunks.
Okay, that'll work, that'll work.
If you hear that out through there anymore, that's just me.
Big skunk, huh?
Yeah. Between cold weather and rain stuff, we just been out back to trimming trees and running the sweeper, trying to get all the catch-up that we done with the leaves. I think they've all fell, and we're trying to get caught back up with that. We had a truck drive off over at the Northeast 5th and Adair. We had a truck drive off and tore up a part of a drainage over there. We got most of that fixed. I don't know if we need to have to replace the concrete that was actually broke. We have ordered a couple of no-through truck signs that we're gonna put down through there. So hopefully they'll see that, because this ain't the first time that that's happened. But I know I talked with Trey, and he always tells them that, you know, you can't go down that street, but for some odd reason, they go down there anyway. So, but other than that, like I said, we've done a little bit of drainage. We went around, dipped around some pipe whistles to open them up on the end. And just kind of our daily stuff, we, you know, patching potholes and things like that. So that's about all we got going.
Tennis courts. parking
What?
Tennis court parking looks good.
I figured Frank was gonna do on that one, but that's, no, it's the parking part, I think it's done. I think all he has left is the 2 end curbs and the sidewalk to do, which that shouldn't take him too long to get that one knocked out of the way. He had to go to, I guess, work at Claremore today, and that one job opened back up. But he's gonna try to get down and get that finished up as quick as possible, so. Anything else?
Thank you, buddy. Move on to Mayor's report. Item A, we need a motion for no action. It says recognize city employees who have completed 25 years of service. Don Hess, and Don is not here tonight, so I'd entertain a motion for
So
no
move.
action.
Second.
Gantier and Chitwood. Call for vote?
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Yes.
Parham,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Item B, discussion possible action regarding appointment of Jamie Knopfinger to Recreation Board, seat number 1, term ending 8/31/24. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Motion Shropshire, second Smith. Mr. Jamie Knopfinger is here tonight. Jamie, would you come forward? Council, his resume is on page 4 through 6. I trust you have read that. And introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Jamie Knopfinger. I'm from Pryor, actually from Shoto, but went to high school in Pryor. My wife and kids and I just returned from living overseas for 22 years, about 2.5 years ago. And I'm currently a teacher at the high school and coach of the boys cross-country and track team.
Thank you.
Now, something that you may have also read about Jamie, he was nominated and voted Teacher of the Year at our high school.
Yeah.
And if y'all would join me with a round of applause.
I think we're still wondering how many were actually nominated, so at least one.
I've known Jamie for a long time, and he came back here to town. He's a teacher. He's faithful, and his skill set is good for the job of board member at the rec center. And so we would welcome you with open arms. He also speaks Mandarin, Chinese, and a few other languages, I think.
Yeah. Tibetan and Thai.
Tibetan and Thai. So Jamie is quite the talent, and he is a good friend to all of us. Anything else? Any questions?
My son speaks highly of you, so he's talked about you before.
Is that Cooper?
Yeah.
He's a good kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Language is important, but have you learned how to cook Thai food?
That's my wife's department.
Okay.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jamie. Call for vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Parham,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Motion carries. Welcome aboard, sir. Item C, discussion, report, and update from Ad hoc Audit Committee. Mr. Lamar.
Thank you. Last meeting, we gave out the draft proposals to the council members, and I didn't hear any feedback from anyone except for Councilman Gauthier, who has several things that he thinks should be more specific in the RFP proposals. I have sent those out to you all this morning. I apologize for doing that late, but it's basically the same ones that I sent out to you all before the last meeting. But again, I have not gotten any feedback from any of you all about having anything added or taken away from except for him. So I would like at the next meeting that we have to put this thing to bed and get the RFPs approved to get the ball rolling on this investigation or audit, however you want to look at it. So since no one had any input except for Chris, I'm going to let him have the floor to discuss and let you all know why or what he wants in there. And I want some feedback from you all that you agree or not agree or don't want any of that included in the draft, because we need to get the ball rolling on this. So Councilman Gauthier, I'll let you have the floor to discuss about why you think it needs to be more specific.
I had been working on some of this even before the ad hoc committee was appointed. And I was talking with the state auditor, and she says, I can't tell you specifically what you should have or shouldn't have or all that, because it would be a conflict of interest if they ever had to later on come. But what she did say is if there's something that you want to know, you must ask specifically. Be very specific, and that's what she said. So she didn't tell me what to say. She just said if there's things we want to know, we have to be specific. And so I had a few, and then somebody come up with a document with some very interesting questions, and it wasn't me that wrote it, but I liked those questions, and I thought they should be in there as well, because to be very specific. So I would like to see them in all of them. That way we're covered.
Chris, is that the item that you had last meeting?
No, there's something new. There was something else that somebody else had produced, and I saw it, and they had some very, very specific questions. I recopied them and then added mine to that list of questions, so you could either look at what, or I could send you my other one, or I sent it to Terry and Choya. They could also send it to you as well. It's just a list of questions, and I'm not even sure who wrote the questions, but I saw them, and then Terry, I believe, had sent them out to everybody, and it was some interesting questions.
Did you say you sent them out this morning?
Well, no, yes, I did. I sent out Councilman Got the A's draft this morning. I sent the other document that he's talking about out to everybody on the 14th of February.
Okay, so I got that one.
And I pretty
This
well,
one-
all the document that he had sent, those questions are pretty much all in what I did. I might have put a period somewhere so it wasn't a period, something like that, but I didn't change anything. And so,
The document that was sent out on the 14th of February, and Mayor, I know you weren't, I don't think you were in on that email chain.
No, I wasn't.
It was some very informative information about the Competitive Bidding Act that was submitted to me by a member of our community. He did not ask to not be mentioned, but he didn't say to mention him either. At this time, I'm going to leave it anonymously, but this is a very respected member of the community who is very knowledgeable on the Competitive Bidding Act, that had a lot of good working paper for us on the council to kind of go by on knowing what we should ask on the audit and look for certain things in relationship to that. And that's that document that was on the 14th of February. Now, Chris's draft is dated, I think, also the 14th or 15th of February. It's in the file name that I sent out to everybody on your council email this morning. But
I think
again,
what he sent came in while I was actually working on the one I was working on. I didn't know it, and we kind of crossed. But I did not on mine include the references where they made to the Competitive Bidding Act, where they quoted the different sections and subsections.
Yeah, that was already in there.
But that came with that document that was sent, that Terry sent out, I think it was the 14th or whatever, so.
now, when you talked to Ms. Bird, and she told you that things needed to be very specific, was she talking about specifically in the RFP proposal or later on down the road questions
No,
that
she
we
said
should
in the
ask
RFP.
the audit?
She said in the RFP, whatever you want asked, you need to put whatever you want in there. But she didn't go any further than that because she didn't want to create any conflict of interest. She just said, make sure if you want to ask it, that you ask specifically in the RFP.
So has everybody in the group read those today or since the 14th of February that I sent them out on?
I read his 14th one. I've been at work literally until 2 minutes before I walked in that
Okay.
door, so
Yeah, me too.
I haven't seen it. I do want to clarify that just because we didn't contact you doesn't mean that we didn't read what you all of the work that you had put into,
I got you.
or you. When I heard that the RFP that you all had requested would give us the information to later on be able to use it for liability, then I was good with that. Like, that's what I want to see. Do we have the evidence for or against of any wrongdoing? And if so, will that document show? So it didn't mean that I didn't care. I want you to make sure that, because you guys have put a lot of work into it.
And I don't know if it's specifically in the minutes or not, because I didn't really pay attention to read that exact language. But I know that at this council meeting that we had last time, I think it was Choya that brought up for the group that we would like a response from everybody back, and we gave a week deadline, and we never heard anything from anybody except Chris.
Oh, you wanted us
So-
to say yes or no? at
Well,
that
with
point?
inputs and more suggestions on the draft, or changes to the draft.
Okay.
If we get.
Sorry, I thought it meant if I wanted to change it, I would let you know.
Well, yes, if you had changes to the draft.
Or
I did not.
Or additions, let us know within a week,
Okay.
which was last week, but.
I thought you guys did a great job.
If we end up,
Or you
if we end up trying to get too specific though, and we're not subject matter experts, are we going to give them a list of stuff that only we thought of to check? And there's more stuff that they would know to check, but they think, well, I guess they don't really want to look at that. Because we're not subject matter experts on that. And when we get an investigation started, they should know everything that they need to look at, correct? That should be what they do.
They're the
Well, I
subject
believe
matter
on one of the
experts.
ones that I put, there was a little thing in there, any other thing that they felt needed to be. So I think we covered that in there. So we had both the generalization and the specifics. But I think I had it in there, if I remember correctly.
So with silence, I'm again thinking that no one has any other inputs other than Councilman Ganthier's to add to the language. Mr. Ritchie, since you did the draft of that, do you have any feedback or any suggestions on how that language should be all added to the RFP draft?
I haven't seen the things from Mr. Gantier.
Okay.
If you sent those to me.
I thought I'd CC'd you on it, but again, you were traveling in court today, I realize that.
When did you send them to them?
The 14th, I think I sent it to Terry, because if I'm not mistaken, I think the mayor might have requested us have it in by the 15th. And so I did it on the 14th.
I saw your original. I did not see the one that came in this morning.
Well, that was not from me this morning, that was his.
That came in at 9:52 a.m. this morning.
I'm happy to take a look at all of the other stuff and report back to you on my thoughts so that you can do what you need to do at the next meeting.
Okay. Do you, Chris, are you cool with that?
Well, yeah, because I mean, we may have to tweak things and put it in legalese, but yeah.
Okay. So I would like to see this ready to be voted on to go out for proposals based on the language of this at the next council meeting. So if you could get that done sometime to where we could get it out to the group before the council meeting again, and I apologize for today. When I saw that it was on the agenda that we couldn't take action on it anyway, I was kind of relieved of that, but, so anyway, I'd like to get it out earlier to you all, these drafts again, to say, let you all look them over and think about it so we can bless it, so to speak, and get it pushed through the next council meeting. And I'll also have a group or a list of potential audit vendors, I'm gonna use the term, firms to send it out to, so we can have the council say, yes, we'll send it out to all these people.
Can I ask a legal question? Because I have been concerned on some of the group texts, some of the group emails, that we're violating quorum rules. And so there were a couple of times that I was going to respond, not to this specifically, but other things, and I thought, ooh, I don't know if I'm violating.
Yeah, the use of a group text or a group email is a violation.
Okay,
So that shouldn't be happening.
okay.
So,
So we have to wait till a public
yeah,
meeting, okay,
a public meeting. It's cumbersome, but that's the way it
okay.
works. So,
Even to send out a draft for people to look at, to add
yeah,
feedback
if you're
to.
just sending out a draft, you're okay.
Yeah.
If
But
you're
we
having-
can't have a
but if
discussion.
you're having discussions and conversations, you can't do that.
There were none, just a draft.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
But yeah, disbursement of the materials is fine, so that everybody can digest those and discuss it at the next open meeting.
Joy?
Well, like I say, we're gonna have to find the right people to do this investigation, and they have to be specialized in that field to be able to do that, and subject matter experts to know what's going on. Like I said, he's got the several names of people that can do that, and we've had people that said that these people could do it. Most of them are out of state, the biggest part of them are, so that's another thing. But once we decide we're going to go forward with it, and we write up the RFP the way that it needs to be written, then we should be good to go and get started.
I would recommend that, Ms. Rich, if you could have that document to Mr. Lamar no later than March the 1st. That gives him time to review, gives us time to get it posted by the evening of the 3rd, if there's any discussion that needs to happen. So sometime around March the 1st would be good.
Any idea of the cost?
No.
Not until we put out bids.
Okay. I would be interested to know how many of the items on this would have already been covered with the audit that's recently being conducted. Because, Mayor, an audit is being done at this time.
There's been an audit that I started. I ceased that when the audit was required by council. And the part of it that I started was with Mr. Graber. And we have everything, as far as I'm concerned, satisfied with all the billings and all the financial part of that part of it.
Just to make sure we're not paying for something that would already be done by our,
Well, if we had that audit information, we could actually give that to the next auditors or whomever, and that would take that much time out of the process. And if we've got everything that we need and a timeline set up for all of the questions that they're gonna ask, that should take some of the time out also. So they should be able to go from one to the other and look and see what's going on, a back and forth type of, maybe from architect to construction, to Willowbrook, and back and forth, and find out timely manners and different things that went on and questions that were asked and how they were addressed and things like that. But like, again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but somebody's got to know what they're talking about and what they're doing to be able to do that. So we have to pick a good group to perform that investigation.
Any other discussion? Looks like you're on the right track. We'll move then to item D, discussion of possible action regarding payment of remaining invoices from Graber Associates totaling $146,971.81 from Fund 87. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. Discussion. Mr. Graber is here tonight. Thank you for coming, Jim.
Mr. Mayor, you said that on the agenda that this is the remaining invoices totaling almost just under 147,000. Is this the final invoices, or will there be more, or expected to be more?
I think this is final invoice unless, yes.
Okay.
Are we able to ask Mr. Graber some questions?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the reasons why he's here tonight. Sure enough. Yes. Yes, we did get a motion.
Mr. Graber, first of all, thank you very much
Yes, sir.
for coming tonight to talk to us.
No problem. I'm not gonna break it.
The Willowbrook staff has kind of been in the hot seat before, so and had to answer a lot of tough questions, and some of those were probably ones that they wanted to defer to the architect. So we're glad you're here and
Sure.
can maybe fill in some of those questions, answers.
I have a couple of things, just I noticed, and this is things when I went through a walkthrough, I had noticed that in the police side, in the kitchen, there weren't any receptacles behind the counters like you would have in a kitchen, but there was on the fire side. Was that something that was in the plans, or?
Yes, it was on sheet E1, the plan that all the electrical was on. And in fact, here's a copy of it. There were 3 outlets to be installed, and they just didn't do it. They forgot them.
So that,
Who forgot?
Contractor. Just weren't done.
that was a contractor oversight, I guess.
Yeah, I think just
Another question, and I don't want to steal Terry's thunder on this one. The flag pole being too close to the building at the library, that was something that we had discussed at length.
yeah, we were, when they decided they wanted a flagpole, we were gonna put it to the east of the entrance and further out. But the library people wanted it closer to the door so that they wouldn't have to go across out into the weather and everything. So we moved it right close to the door. That's where they wanted.
So that was a request by the library staff?
Yeah, they wanted it close.
Did they point out exactly where they wanted it?
No, but they wanted it, right next to that sidewalk. There's the sign and there's the flagpole.
Do you mind if we, because our librarian is right back there?
Sure.
Not to put you on the spot, Carrie, but I just want to make sure that all communication is open.
Sure.
I don't remember that particular discussion. I know that when we did the drawings, talking about the flagpole, we decided it would be parallel with the monument sign. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. but I
Is it
certainly-
parallel with the monument sign?
Sure, yeah. It's
So
right
it's,
in line.
so it basically, okay, all right,
But, yeah. The-
okay.
Did we have the correct measurements of the outside of the original building?
The plans that we had originally, on the original plans, there was something off on the north side.
Okay. Could that have made a difference in where the flagpole was
No.
positioned?
No, it's on the other side of the building.
Yeah, it was on the south side.
No,
correct?
the only dimensional problem was on the north side. This is on the south.
Go ahead.
Okay.
That's not totally true.
Oh.
The monument sign is in the sidewalk, so there
No,
were
he's talking
dimensional,
about the building dimensions.
okay,
Yeah.
but the dimensions for where
The
the sign
site,
goes.
site plan dimensions were off, yes, from the original.
Say that one more time.
Was that your question about,
Right, was
about the
it-
site plan dimension?
Right, were the dimensions, when we started out, correct, and then how did it go from there?
The dimensions from the front of the building to the street on the original plans were off, that we were given.
Okay.
How much were they off?
I think about 15 feet.
That was a problem.
They were off quite a bit.
That's a pretty good, yeah.
That's why the sign ended up
That
into
would
that
pose the
sidewalk a
problem.
little bit.
Right, which is why I didn't have a problem with the flag being where it is
Right.
on the drawing.
Yeah.
Because it was, the
Because
drawing
the
drawing
was off, yeah.
Yeah, and it never was measured or anything to double check it before you started. We
Not
just-
in the front, no.
we just worked off the plans, okay. I've got a crazy question, elephant in the room, the fuel tank.
Mm-hmm.
How did that
Thank you, Carrie.
come about?
Okay. Fire department wanted a dual fuel tank. Talked with BK, said that the people that had supplied the tank, if I understand, on their existing station, gave me the name. I called them up, told them what it was for, sent them the site plan, and I said, would you please give us the proper tank specification so we could put it in the plans to be bid? They did. We put it in the plans. It was installed, and several months later, Terry Whiteley, the local inspector, went out and looked at it and said, well, the tank is supposed to have a certification sticker on it. And so I told Willowbrook, I said, well, call your sub up and tell them that's the wrong tank and they need to switch it out. Because they gave us the specs. I mean, they're the engineers, so.
So I'm gonna do like Yvette just did. BK,
I was getting ready to ask.
do you mind stepping up
Sure.
and?
Yeah, we
You
told
know.
Graver we wanted a dual tank, one to hold diesel, one to hold gas. We told him how much capacity. We didn't look into the code to read what the code was, what the engineer needed. And I'm trying to look for it. I don't know when the tank was ordered or what. Was Terry's comment sent to you, or who were they sent to?
No, I just heard it through Willbrook.
And I'll try to look that up, because, Terry sent comments out, which, even on that, if Willowbrook got it, do they not relay any comments from the?
They
fire?
did. She had a whole packet full of communication.
So
that
it's
she
that
had.
on Terry's comments, and, excuse me, I don't have that pulled up right now, but right here on Terry's comments where I found it says sheet AS2, note 26 indicates an outdoor above-ground fuel storage. Provide clarification for what the use of this tank will be and what kind of fuels will be stored in the tank. The installation shall comply with IFC section 2306.2.3. If class 1 or 2 fuels are being stored, UL 2085, protected above-ground tank will be required. Revise and resubmit.
Yeah, and then, so
And
I,
is that Willowbrook should have told you?
yeah, I never saw that. But it'd be like if we were using Lennox equipment and we said we want a 5-ton unit and they sent it out without a UL sticker. You know, the manufacturer
That tank
knows.
doesn't have anything on the inside of it. It's a portable tank too, which I don't know why we picked a portable tank, but it's supposed to have what they call a soft concrete inside there, which makes it bullet and puncture resistant. That tank doesn't have that being the UL, and I can't quote what UL it is, but it's not that. But the tank that Terry's made in the comments is that tank.
Yeah.
That makes, so, and I don't know if that's on Willowbrook, but to me, if it's where it falls back,
Well, I think it's on the manufacturer.
if you send something and tell them to custom build it, like your plans say.
No, wait a second, because I said, that
Let me go back there and look.
they sent us that spec, and if you look, there's all the different names, and then they
Yeah, I'll
marked the
check
one
real
we were
quick.
supposed to use, so, you know, so we did.
So while we're waiting to check, and I wish we had all parties in the room so everyone could hear what each other's saying.
That would be wonderful.
Which is why I had asked Carrie to come in, because that's the best form of communication.
Sure.
When Willowbrook was here, they had stated that they had tried to reach out to you multiple times regarding different questions about the plans that you had drawn, and the communication was broken. And so I would just love to hear your side of how you felt communication went, and then how to get better.
Well, part of it was, we've done business for 55 years with hundreds of contractors, and big Flintco, Nabholz, all the big ones. Willowbrook has a different method of how they do things than we've ever dealt with. And from the very beginning of the project, they wanted us to change some of the format of our drawings. They want us to change things in our front end entrance of the specs. And some of that I changed, but some of it I said, no, we're not gonna change how we do business just because it fits your business, you know, we'll do what we can. We had an incredible amount, and to you, this is a big project, but it isn't to us. We've done $20, $30 million campuses at the same time. But I've never seen so much paperwork in my whole life as we got from Willowbrook. Just volumes of questions, and we responded as much as we could. Some of it we wouldn't respond to because they sort of would ask the same question in different ways. And like I said, it was incredible. It's just the way they do business. And they have to, they basically say that they do nothing unless they've got a piece of paper.
Well, in their defense, because they're not here, I'm just speaking in.
No, we've talked
I would love a paper trail as well, because you can always go back and say, this is when I sent it, this is what I said, here was the response, here was the date and the time.
Sure. Understand.
I just looked at the plans, and your plans that are stamped with Graver and Associates, it calls out a UL 142.
Yeah.
But in,
And you were needing a
what was it, 20?
UL,
Something .85.
UL 2085.
So when that tank is delivered to the job site, is there no one on the job site that accepts that tank and said, yep, this is the one we needed and we're accepting it and signed for it?
I wear a size 13 shoe and I ordered a 12 on Amazon. It's
Well-
not my fault, or is it Amazon's or Adidas for not sending me a 13? Because, whoa, you're gonna go running those will be too tight. That's kind of my holdup, like, it's nobody's fault. Like, if I order the wrong size shoe, that's on me.
But who ordered the wrong tank?
Well, the plan said one,
The plans that Mr. Graber submitted that are back there with his stamp
Yes,
call for,
that tank.
yeah, Terry's
But I'm
comments.
just saying
So
that
they
when
made
that
the-
tank is delivered, somebody's gonna sign for it that this is
Yes.
the tank.
But
And,
if it was custom made, then it was custom made for that job.
and I don't know who overrides who, like, does Willowbrook override you
Well,
on the plans? I mean, I just got a tank, the weather's changing, so we're gonna start drawing moisture in it, even if we go to surplus it later, like what we've talked about. We've got something set in there that its value's going down, or could be, if you wanted to say, hey, the weather's going back and forth, so that tank's drawing moisture inside. You're gonna put fuel in that and start drawing it through, but
so back to, because I asked Willowbrook the exact same question, is if they get the plans, they develop the plans, they create the plans, knowing that something's wrong with the plans, who trumps who?
well,
And that's when they said that they would communicate back with you,
but it.
wait for you to
But
respond.
in this instance, we asked that manufacturer to give us the specification for a fuel tank that would meet that code sitting in that position. They gave us that spec, we bid that spec, but it turns out it wasn't the right one.
So the company that made it
The
is
company that
the,
made it wrote the spec.
so I
And
would
they're
love
in-
to
and
talk to
they're-
them.
They're in that business. I mean, that's their business. So if it had to be a certain way, they would have known. It's like Lennox sending out an air conditioning unit without a UL stamp. You think Lennox would say, oh, well, it's your fault?
Who is the manufacturer that made this?
Paul.
Say that one more time.
Paul,
Paul.
Oh.
I will be calling them tomorrow.
That's the business. Well, that's what I told Willowbrook to do. Since the contract went through them, I said, call them up and explain what's going on and get it watched out, get it changed. That was months ago. That was a long time ago.
Thanks, Chief.
and I guess I could be technical savvy, text that to you.
No, that's all right.
Willowbrook had told us that they submit, and they have a big spreadsheet of what they call RFIs, request for information.
Oh, there's thousands of RFIs.
And they said that they had told us several times that they would submit an RFI to you all, and they would not get a response back at all, and they would finally have to holler goat rope and go ahead and press on or stop the job without a final decision.
Yeah,
That caused some of the cost overruns and modifications and
There's nothing, I've got all these lists of all those change orders. There's nothing on here that had anything to do with time or cost overruns or anything like that. It's things that were changed, changes made. There's nothing in here that says, or any of their documents says, well, the price went up because we didn't get an answer. None of that. It was because changes made. Now, to be fair to everybody in this thing, when this project started, we started working on it 5 years ago when we were gonna redo the old fire station and build old police station and build a fire station down here, a block from here. We did all the drawings and all that to get ready for that. And then it was decided that, no, let's put them all together. So then we get this set of plans. Well, you're talking years to go by. But while that was going on, discussion was, if we're gonna spend all this money on this emergency center, police and fire, let's make sure we get everything in there that you're gonna need for 20, 25 years. Otherwise, you're gonna be right back in the same boat. So when things came up that said, we need this or we need that, you say, well, okay, you need this to make it work for that. So nearly everything on here is that. Nearly everything was trying to make that building just the way they needed it. But there's nothing in here that's tied to, oh, you didn't have a dimension on the drawing, or you didn't answer my RFI fast enough. And if you've ever been in construction, you know good and well that other than ordering something, you got a building that big, while the guy's over here pouring concrete, there's somebody over here doing electricity or something else. Yeah, they have their own pattern of what they want to do, but it sure isn't slowing their project down. The biggest things I saw slowed this down was Willowbrook was in a position where COVID hit, prices went berserk, and to be fair to them, they were bobbing and weaving trying to keep the prices from escalating like crazy. And then you had supply issues. There was times we'd be in a meeting and it says, well, we can't get X, Y, Z, or we can't get this, we can't get that. But, you know.
So about the roof in the library. Originally, the roof was going to be what and had to change to what?
Okay. Originally, we were gonna put shingles, asphalt shingles on both buildings to match this building. So all the city buildings have the same roof. That's the way we started. We got into it and had the engineers, structural engineers, go back and look at the library, and they said because of the age of the building, without starting to tear walls and everything, they thought that the shingle roof situation was much heavier than a sheet metal roof, and we should switch that to a sheet metal roof. That's why that's different.
So it had to go to a
No, it was always a pitch. That had nothing to do. It was always a picture. The weight on the older building of the shingle roof was much heavier than that metal roof.
So on the east end, the awning that's below building that goes down under about, Carrie, do you know what I'm talking about? Piece of gray, brown. It looks like the buildings are different heights.
Parts of it, yeah, to get the roofs to slope the same. The building is different widths, so to try to get the level of them as close as you can, you change how they're done, because they're gonna be all different heights. It would be like this, you know, that's why they're different.
I just assumed the roof would be, the building would be the same level all the way across.
Try to.
So knowing what we know now, if you were to start over, what would be done different?
I would have gone to Europe to live. I guess the only thing we could have really, to save a lot of this stuff, and I'm gonna try to be fair, you know, the police and the firemen, everything, they haven't been involved in these kind of projects. And if you build a house or anything, when it starts going up, you say, oh, wait a minute, you know this, oh, wait a minute, that. There was a lot of that going on, and that's not their fault. I mean, I understand. We walk them through as best we can. We went over the plans with them. But still, when things start going together, you know, people think, well, we forgot this, we forgot that. That's what a lot of that is. And to do it differently, I don't know. There are more things changed on this building than any project ever done in 50 years.
Well, now, if I remember right, Willowbrook said they felt like that was because they weren't really in on the planning from the very beginning. That what was the percent of the plans that had been done before they had input?
No, that wouldn't.
I wanted to say it was like 18 months difference between the plans.
I don't think that made any difference because, again, it's the owner. You know, these are generated by the owner. In other words, the fireman, the policeman, you know, the IT guy comes along and says, you know, we gotta have more air conditioning upstairs in the IT room and things like that. You know, we had the metal building at the beginning, and the back was a storage building for stolen items and things, so they wouldn't be sitting out. And then halfway through it, they think, you know, we need a place to pull a car in and do a CSI on it, you know, take all the, we need that room, so we'll turn it into that. Well, you know, there wasn't connection out there to the IT room, and so we had to pay for putting that in and put walls in, put doors in, things like that had happened. And they're right to change it. I mean, they should. If they think they're gonna have to do it now. You know, things like that.
So like lighting on the flagpole after the flagpoles were already installed and having to go back and tear everything back up. That obviously was some miscommunication somewhere,
Yeah. We didn't pick it up, you know.
so oversight.
Yeah, that's not oversight.
And the library flagpole alone ended up being $12,000 for that one pole.
Yep.
Versus 9,000 for the three at the cross street. $12,000.
And I can't explain that. I mean, I don't know where that price came from.
We've heard that a lot of the problems started as a result of the fire department doors being not measured right for a fire truck. Can you explain how all that came about?
Yeah, we did the drawings. We sent to BK a drawing that showed the door, showed the space that was for it. The building was started, and then BK, rightfully so, started looking at maybe in the future we might buy a bigger truck. So we had to raise the doors for the bigger trucks, but that was after the fact. It wasn't they were measured wrong. It was that the program changed. And that was right, they should. If you think in the future you're gonna buy the bigger trucks, you better do it now because you're not gonna do it later. And you know, he's right.
The truck we have now, the aerial device we got, is 11.4 inches tall right now, which the tallest peak in the door with the top was 11.4. And that,
Yeah. So
if you look at our ladder truck, the captain side or the passenger side of the truck, that's the highest point of our truck, because that's where the command and controls are. So when we got to looking at the plans, and actually Gary was one that hollered at us when everything started going up, and he's like, dude, these doors aren't gonna work. He said, come look at them, or he said, they look small. So we looked at it, and he was looking at the top, and I said, no, we gotta look over here to the side. We had that much space with the existing truck we had to pull out of there, because where we rounded them off, yes, at the very top, in the center was,
The apex bit.
but on the side is where we needed the room. So that's what started it. And then, of course, my boys being, we'll just say smart Alex, they said that's why Graber drew the plans with all the ladder trucks parked outside. And they were just teasing, but the doors, we noticed that, and that was actually Gary who hollered at us one day when the bricking stuff was coming up. He's like, hey, we gotta look at these. So I'm not saying that he didn't take what we told him, 11.5, as our tallest point for our tallest truck at that time. But then we got to talking about it because the tower trucks are in the center. So if you had that on the corners, we still would have met the center for a tower truck's usually 12.2 to 12.4 is what those are.
In the fire department wash bay,
That's what I was gonna ask.
the plumbing was not put in, and it had to be put in after the fact, up the wall and exposed after the fact, because there was no plumbing design for it, according to Willowbrook. And
Well-
it's put in that way, obviously.
It was specified all the equipment to put in there. So,
That is not what they said.
well, it's on the plans. You know, they did switch the manufacturer of the company.
Well, I'm not talking about the manufacturing of the equipment, I'm
You
talking
about
about
the
the
line,
plumbing along
the plumbing to go down to it and
Yes.
everything? It's where they where you mount the stick. Yeah, we didn't draw that in. We said, put it in there, here's the equipment, hire a guy to have it put in right. And that's what happened, and it was too far over, so they ran the pipe down there.
Mayor, when was the last, I'm sorry,
On the wash bay thing though, at one time, wasn't there like a full automatic deal that you had drawn in there that they even pulled out because there wasn't even money budget for that? Because I think Gary pulled that one also.
Yeah, it was more automatic than the one
And that was
put in.
like the school bus barn, which we just wanted like the one thing like we did, so I don't know where the misconception was on that. But they pulled that because the money wasn't even there for that. And then we did send stuff for the deal, but the plumbers, because we asked them up front, which I'm lucky to have a couple of plumbers, they asked the plumbers, they're like, hey, where's all the water for this? And it's kinda like the hot water tank got moved, but the plumbing drawings didn't get changed. So we had pads poured to places for hot water tanks, but no plumbing to bring the water to the wash bay deal.
You know,
5 foot away.
No,
The plumber,
Where?
all the
Where?
water's in there.
well, where the.
You're talking about where the
water-
hose
Where the
is.
hot water tank was, when we moved it all the way to the north wall,
Yeah,
there was no plumbing, so the plumbers plumbed to here, because that's what their plans showed. But when we moved the tank to here, which was way early,
Oh.
the plumbing plans didn't reflect.
well, yeah, but that wasn't way early. It was when we decided to change the tool room and move that tank out of there. The building was under construction.
They were tearing down Homeland.
Oh, well,
And that might be way past the point, but there weren't plumbers on site.
So an oversight.
You know, I really don't think we're gonna gain a whole lot by this tonight. I think that's what our investigation's gonna find out. So I think that's probably, when we go forward with that, we'll find out a timeline, what went on and where we were at and what happened. So I think that's probably gonna be the best way of finding out what went down where.
I do want to know, Mayor, when was the last time all parties were in the same room communicating together?
Last meeting we had would have been November, December,
we had meetings on the site and then we had meetings in the conference room.
right?
We were all in the same room going over.
How often were those meetings?
How long did it last?
No,
Some-
how often? Like
sometimes-
once a month, once a week?
Sometimes the meetings were once a month, sometimes they were once a week,
On the site, they were
sometimes
once
they're-
a week.
once every 2 weeks. I think that changed as it went along.
Started going once a week.
And besides you, Mr. Graber, Willowbrook, were the department heads in those meetings too,
Yeah.
at all of them?
Yes,
Yeah, they were
yes,
there.
yes. And there are minutes to all those meetings.
Yeah.
And when you do your audit and whatnot, you need to request those minutes. All those minutes are available.
And are they stored somewhere?
Yes,
Okay,
they're on electronic files.
okay.
I do have a general regarding the change orders. Were y'all, were you approving them, or were they done outside of your knowledge? Or if they were going through you, was there a percentage you might have gone with?
Things would be brought up. Willowbrook would, at the meeting, bring up something with a price, and it would be presented. But you know, I'm not the owner, I can't say,
Okay.
yeah. Now, I can't say, yes, you can do something, you can't. It'd be up to Larry or somebody at the city to say, and then oftentimes Larry'd ask, you know, the fireman or the policeman, well, what is this and what's it about? And that's how it'd be approved.
All right, thank you.
Who is the owner, who is considered, as far as you're concerned, in the legality of this, who is the owner?
The city.
And is there a specific person within the city that is the person that can sign and approve and be the city's owner?
Well, it would be Larry, because he was in the meetings.
Okay.
And then ultimately, city council when we vote on it.
Yeah, when you voted,
Sure.
when they presented it to you, that's how the process worked.
So acting as the owner might be Chief Nichols. Acting as the owner might be Librarian Carrie Rarick, or BK.
Yeah.
So acting as owner, but anything that got signed was my responsibility to sign.
Okay. I have one more question.
Sure.
Your fee is based on, or percentage is based on changes and et cetera within the project. So if there's a architect, if there's a design change that has to be done with all of the bills, you get a percentage every time there's,
Cost of construction, it's just a flat percent.
so if something has to be changed, you get a percentage of that work.
Yeah, if they say we want to add this or do that, yeah, or, yeah.
Contract was based on 6% with the police and fire and 6.5% with the.
6.5 with the police and fire and 5%.
And 5%.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and that's how it works. Their fee is different, if you understand. I mean, out of our percent, we pay all of our engineers and all our expenses. Their fee is a guaranteed profit at the end of the job. So they're in a different process than we are.
Okay.
Other questions, comments?
I think I need to make a comment. We have not been paid for 4 months. And I'm a nice guy, but using lines of credit and things to pay bills is getting a little bit much. And I think we need to be paid. Now, if it comes about later that someone thinks we did something wrong, that's fine. We'd all go to court. We have insurance for that. But if you do not pay us, I want in writing the reason you didn't pay us, because I will have to give it to the attorneys.
Sure.
You can't just, well, we decided that there might be something wrong, we're not gonna pay you. That's gone on for 4 months. And I think that's time for that to end, because, what you're talking about, this could go on for a year now. You're gonna get some guy, gonna audit our drawings, that's fine. But, he's gonna pay Randy to come in and look at this drawing and tell me if there's something wrong. Well, you do want something wrong, don't you? But that's okay. We have lawyers for our insurance companies, they can take care of that. But we need to be paid, because 4 months is that's too much.
Mr. Graber, you've been patient, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I always feel like that you have worked with the city as a team member, and we've tried to work together that way.
Yeah.
And this is on the agenda tonight, and we have the understanding that we're required to pay that bill. So you have no concerns about that, as far as I'm concerned.
And I would point out something else. I just did some quick calculations, which I'm sure you know some of these numbers. The original cost estimate was $11,404,000. We're now at $13,796. That's $2,296,000 in changes. 500 and some odd thousand of that was the museum, which I think you need to take out of the picture. That's not fair. That's a separate item. So then you're down to $1,746,500. I went through all these things and I marked in yellow anything that could have had anything to do with us, regardless of rumors or catcalling or whatever. And that comes up to the percent of the change order is 3%. That could be attributed to anything we did. And if the total cost of project is 0.4%. Don't think I would want to go into a situation saying that we are responsible for that project if it's only 0.4% of the whole thing. It could have anything to do with something we might have left out. Maybe we left out a flagpole, we left out a light. 0.4%, okay.
The document that you're referring to, is that something that we have copies of?
No, I did this myself.
Not that one, the other one.
Oh, yeah, you
That
have
one.
copies of this. This is all this is just I printed out large because I don't like little bitty print.
Well,
This is
yeah.
like-
Say it looks different.
Well, it's a printout of all the stuff off there.
Okay,
The different, they call contingencies, but they're change orders, so. We printed them all out, big. It went through every one of them.
That's a print of the line items on the pay app, is what it is.
yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Graber, can you please repeat those top two numbers that you said was the cost of the estimated cost, the first two?
11,404.
Their estimated cost that they gave was $11,404,861.
And then the second one was 13,700?
Yeah, they're.
Or 13 million?
Now it's at 13,796,530. So that's a difference of 2,296,530. I'll just give this to you. I don't care. And I took out the cost of the museum because that's obviously what that was. And then I took the numbers I found from this, and I found 3% of the change orders and 0.4% of the total cost. And I don't think, I know it went out of the money, and I'm sorry, and I don't know the funding situation, I don't know anything about that. But I don't think that, I don't really think it's anybody's fault. It's a combination of everything. When I tell these guys, well, make sure you get it in there if you think you're gonna need it, this is what happens. And, you know, if you're doing a school or something, well, I don't know. And then you had COVID and you had everything else. I don't know if you knew that just a couple weeks ago, Owasso was gonna have another bond issue because their project went $3 million over what they thought it would be, and they were doing it exact same time frame, so, you know.
Yeah. So I would like to say thank you, because I feel like we've kind of put you in the hot seat tonight. I want you to know that those numbers, to me, kind of bring it in perspective and give us something to think about before we spend several $100,000 on an audit. And when you bring that 3%, those numbers, that's.
I just sat down and thought, well, maybe we're, you know, collusion or culpable here. And it just didn't there. And I have been through several projects where a church decided to sue a contractor, and it ended up causing legal fees and everything. The church lost $50,000. And I've seen these kind of things go around and around. We were sued several years ago by Weatherford Schools. We did a big auditorium. They were given some rumors and erroneous information. And we got to a mediation, find out that their chief engineer that was saying something was wrong with the structure, his background was he engineered bridges. And our engineer showed him what he was missing on the plans, but he still wouldn't admit he was wrong. But we didn't pay a thing, and it cost them $55,000 in legal fees. And it just, you know, where are you going with it, and what do you accomplish? I could say things that I don't particularly like about Willowbrook and the way they operate, which I wouldn't do another project with them, I'll tell you that. Because I think everybody has a piece of paper, like you said, eventually. But if you're out on a job and you see that desk should be moved over 3 feet, you know, go ahead and move that over. And everybody agrees to it. And you come back next week and, well, why didn't you move that? Whoa, well, you didn't give me a piece of paper. Come on. Are we building a building, or are we building paper? And that's my biggest complaint about it. And you know, he knows. You can produce so much paper and so much stuff and then blame it on everybody else. But the point is, instead of building a project, you like to produce paper. It's a paper trail, and that's not, to me, that's why construction is not about that. I like them personally. I liked all of them. It's just the way they proceed to do things. And it's confusing. And so, but we need to be paid, or somebody needs to give us a letter saying why we're not paid, and it'll simply be turned over to the attorneys.
So those change orders were, from what you understand, ran through as contingencies, but they were actually change orders?
Well, yeah, they are. Well, sure they are. If you look at their own pay app, it says right on the front page, it didn't say, I don't have it, but if you look at their first page of their pay apps, it says change orders. And that's what they are. Contingencies, to me, in my world, is the things that they didn't have prices for. You know, when they did their estimate, there were things they had a price for, so they put sums in there. And if there's a difference in those sums, that's what the contingency is for. It's not for, oh, we're going to add 2 rooms over here. You know, that's not what that is.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you,
Graber,
sir.
thank you.
Thank you
Well,
very much.
thank you, guys. And you know, like I said, I don't have any ill will to them at all. I don't, I just didn't like the way they do business. Maybe I'm just getting old, but come on, you know.
Don't forget to give me a copy of that
Oh,
thing.
yeah, here.
Mr. Mayor, I call for the vote.
You vote?
Yes,
Okay.
call for vote.
Yes.
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 Thank you, sir.
Yes.
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 Motion carries. I would like to express to the gallery today and all those who might be listening in or viewing in that Mr. Graber was very generous in that he commissioned a mural that's in the museum room, and he commissioned that with Tracy Rabbit. It's now posted in there, and it's beautiful. And on behalf of the city, I'd like to say thank you for that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
When we did the museum, when you walk in those two double doors and there's that blank wall, I thought at the time, there's gotta be something there. And we were at Tracy's studio over there, and right when you come in the door to the left is on the wall, and I said, that's what we need, something like that. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Sure.
Item E, discussion, possible action regarding approval to pay CMS Willowbrook application and certificate for payment number 24 in the amount of $45,794.67 from the ARPA 05 fund regarding the Emergency Center and Library Expansion Project. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. This is on pages 13 through 47 in your packet.
This is the final one?
No, this is not the final one. I expect the final pay app to be probably next month. Excuse me.
Have we gotten in from Willowbrook all the contracts from the subcontractors as well as the non-collusion affidavits and all that sort of stuff?
Yes, those are closeout documents, and they are in our vault, and they're available for anybody who'd like to see them. Are there other questions or comments?
Since I haven't seen those, and I have seen some things that I've had problems with, if this is a vote for tonight, I'm gonna vote no until I get a chance to look at those documents.
How long have they been here, Mayor? How long have the documents been?
They're closeout documents. They're documents that are in about 7 different boxes, and they're in our vault. They've been here for about 3 weeks.
There's a whole lot of it right here.
Other comments or questions? Call for vote?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item F, discussion and possible action authorizing mayor to sign support letter from the federal RAISE grant application in regard to Mid-America Connected Project.
Motion. Second.
Motion Gantier, second Chitwood. Let's hear from Ms. Ariana Durr. Welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I just want to give you some context of the Mays County Trails Alliance going after the RAISE grant. First of all, you guys may be wondering what RAISE stands for. It is an acronym. It stands for Rebuilding America Infrastructure and Sustainability with Sustainability and Equity. And so, long story short, there's up to $5 million available through this federal grant. And the Trails Alliance had agreed to hire a grant writer to go after some trails. And before we could actually pull that trigger, we found out that Mid-America actually hired someone to go after, they actually have their own local trails plan. And so this ended up being a huge blessing for the Trails Alliance, because now, not only are we not out any money for grant writing, if they land the grant, then we're not out any money for managing that grant. So it's a great partnership. And just to be clear of what the project is, so it's gonna start the trails out at the district. I don't know if you guys are, surely you are familiar with the district out there. It will also upgrade the 69A and Elliott intersection. And the part where the Trails Alliance comes in is we were able to advocate for South Elliott Off-Road Trail to be constructed. And so that alone is gonna cost about $3.7 million. And so we were super grateful that Mid-America was, super generous to allow us to put that piece of the project in. And because of our advocacy in the Mays County Trails Alliance, we also were able to advocate for, to mitigate the gap between South Elliott and 17th Street. So now it's a true connectivity project that's gonna connect the MAPE trails to the county trail to the city, the existing trails in the city. And so we're very, very excited about it. Something else super exciting is that rural communities do not require a match. So it's super exciting to be able to come to you and ask for just a letter and not any money. So that's awesome. The grant is due February 28th, and we will find out in June if we are awarded. So, any questions?
I want to
Yes.
say thank you for all of the hard work. I have got to witness just a wee bit of what you've done, and it is, this would not have happened without you. So thank you.
Thank you.
And the rest of the Trails
Yes,
Alliance
the whole
team.
team, yes. Do you have a question, Terry?
Is there a master plan or a PowerPoint or something that tells what this project is, what the different phases are, and what a timeline is for it, and a estimated cost?
So there are many plans, but not one yet specifically for this grant. That's kind of what the grant application.
Well, I'm talking about the master trail
Okay,
plan
yeah.
for the,
Absolutely. So we have our Pryor Creek Trails Plan. That's everything in the city. And so it is phased out. It's kind of dated. I think it was built, created in 2016, I want to say. But yes, there are priority projects in the Pryor Creek Trails Plan. There's also a Mays County Trails Plan. That's South Elliott. That's a part of that plan, which they do all have cost estimates tied to them in those plans, which are all public record. But I will say both the Mays County and Pryor plans were created in 2016, so the cost estimates are a little bit outdated. But they are, yes, sir, there are phases, and the timeline is kind of, it's not black and white just because we have to go where funding is available. You know, no one has made money around here, so.
Does Mid-America still have those maps they had at the, at
Their open house?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah, they have all of that
because
stuff.
they had maps with a lot of that, I think that you would love to see.
Yeah.
do you recall what the estimated cost was in 2016?
For South Elliott Trail
Well,
alone? It's, I can't tell you it's millions.
Several million.
Yeah, lots of millions. Because like I said, the South Elliott Trails plan, or just the South Elliott Trail, which is just about 2 miles, is 3.7 million. But yeah, I can find out what it was in 2016. Let me write that down and get it to you.
Will, at some point in the future, will the city be required to chip in money to help on this project?
For this specific grant application
No,
project,
for the
or just-
master plan overall.
Okay, so the city trails, the city will just be required to maintain the trails, so, if there's potholes or anything like that. But essentially, that's it right now, is maintaining the trails. And then, of course, I don't know, I can't remember if you were on council, Terry, at the time, but like the prior city council did commit $10,000 to another grant, the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. And so there are times where the city will have to contribute some money towards matching funds, which, by the way, we did get that grant. So I'll come out with you all with more details as it comes towards us, so.
And would that fall under the park department? Or is that still too far in the future to figure out what department maintains?
That would so I'm speaking off the top of my head, but it would not follow the park department, it may follow the street department, or it may fall out of the general fund.
Okay. And then my final question is, are the other cities in Mays County going to have to be on board with this too? And are they gonna ship in and have to participate?
Yes, absolutely. So my role with the Mays County Trails Alliance has been to just raise awareness about the plan and try to get the other towns on board. And so the town of Shodo, Locust Grove, and Pryor right now are the only 3 who have adopted the county trails plan, basically committing them to say, yes, we want to see that this whole countywide plan comes to fruition, and we'll do what we can to help. So with that said, Locust Grove, actually, we helped them get a grant to create their own local trails plan. Because I can't remember who all's familiar, but the county trails plan only connects through county jurisdiction. It's up to each town individually to decide what that looks like inside city limits. And so Locust Grove is fully on board. We're actually going after Salina this year to try to get them on board, which we have a lot of support, so we're hopeful on that. And actually, recently, Adair also adopted it. So to answer your question, it is going to be all hands on deck, but we have to get creative as funding comes out, because since it is so expensive, we can only do piece by piece. Okay. So you might see a trail that's 2 miles and you think, well, that's the trail to nowhere, but we can only spend so many we can only get so many millions at a time, and so we're hoping to piecemeal as funding opportunities come out. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
And
thank you for the question.
You can sign up for the newsletter, City Council, if you
Yes.
haven't already signed up.
I think I've put everybody on there, but Terry, I'm not sure if you're on there, so I can definitely, and can I just get a nod if you do want to be on the letter?
I'm on there.
So I think
I'm on
most
there.
people are already on there, but I will add Terry Lamar to the newsletter. And a plug for you all and anyone in the audience, the Trails Alliance does meet every fourth Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Mayor Lise is faithful to come every month. Yvette just got on board, and so she's coming every month. It's super informative, and it is actually this Wednesday, tomorrow at 4. And there's a lot of exciting things happening, so this would be the meeting to attend. It takes place at Integrated Insurance in their conference room.
Thank you.
We might also say, regarding building the trails, especially for rural communities, which is what we are, a plan gets adopted, and as the years go by, it gets done. But it takes a long time.
It
Yes.
does.
It takes a long
It
time.
does.
Because there's always money that's involved, so we search for grants, we search for partners, and this has been a good time to be able to try to move the thing forward. So kudos, thanks for your
We're
work.
excited. Thank you, Mayor. Thank
I
you.
want to add too, thank you for all your hard work on this.
Thank
You're
you.
very energetic and you're a go-getter on this.
Well, that is so nice of you all. I'm excited to see the fruit of our labor. So thank you all so much.
Other comments or questions? Call for vote?
Yes.
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 Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, can we take a 5-minute break?
How about a 5-minute break? Be back here at 27 minutes till 8 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll resume the meeting. Note, Ms. Eva, that Council Nance had to leave. His job called him out to a hospice call. So, move to item 5, City Attorney's Report. Discussion and possible action regarding declaring surplus the property identified as lots number 1, 4, and the north 15 feet of Lot 5 and Block 23, original town of Pryor Creek, according to the official survey and plat thereof. This property is also known as the old fire station on North Adair Street, excuse me, which has been shared with Mays County Sheriff's Office. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Chitwood, second Shropshire. Mr. Ritchie, would you like to speak to this, sir?
Any questions? I think everybody understands we're gonna declare it surplus and sell it.
Right.
Okay.
I just have one question for clarification. The county commissioners minutes, according to our package, voted on this, I think, last September and approved it. Why are we waiting several months later to get the ball rolling and
Because they
finish?
lost the contract. I never got it back from them. They could not find it. DA's office searched and searched, and finally they got a hold of me and said, we can't find it. I sent them another one and said, sign it again. So now we finally have their signatures.
Fair enough.
Other questions or comments? Call for vote?
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Item B, discussion and possible action authorizing mayor to sign contract for sale of real estate between the City of Pryor Creek, seller, and Mays County buyer for lots number 1, 4, and the north 15 feet, Lot 5 and Block 23, original town of Pryor Creek, according to the original survey and plat thereof, in the amount of $90,000. Revenue to be deposited in the capital outlay fire truck reserve account 454555412. Excuse me. This property is also known as the old fire station on North Adair Street and has been shared with Mays County Sheriff's Office. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Chitwood, second Gantier. Discussion. Hearing none, call for vote.
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Item C, discussion and possible action regarding purchase of residential property, 6 North Bailey Street, for use in a drainage project in the amount of $12,000 plus estimated closing cost of $1,535, for a total of $13,535 to expense from Real Property Acquisition Reserve Fund 46.
Motion.
Second.
Motion Gantier, second Chitwood.
I do have a quick question.
Yes.
Are they gonna, do we have a clear title on this, or do they do that while we're going through the process?
So,
Title as we go through the closing.
Okay.
other questions?
Yes.
Hearing none, call for vote.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Item 6, discussion possible action on consent agenda. A, approve minutes of February 7, 2023 council meeting. B, approve payroll purchase orders through March 3rd, 2023. C, approve claims for purchase orders through February 21st, 2023. D, acknowledge receipt of deficient purchase orders. E, approve December 2022 appropriations request. F, discussion possible action regarding proceeding to bid for the channelization of Bailey Street to Orr Street in an estimated amount of $209,789.38, expensing from Street Drainage Projects account 141455092. This action is contingent on the acquisition of the 6 North Bailey property. Item G, discussion possible action regarding proceeding to bid for street drainage on Bailey Street, Northeast First to 225 feet south of Northeast First at an estimated amount of $113,234.82, expensing from street asphalt overlay account 141455410. This action is contingent on the acquisition of the 6 North Bailey property. Item H, discussion possible action regarding approving a work order for professional services, project 23-01, for engineering design services from Infrastructure Solutions Group LLC for 1, Bailey Street improvements, and 2, Bailey Street detention facility. Project 1 is in the amount of $15,200. Project 2 is in the amount of $22,500 to be expensed from street outside services, engineering account 141455075. This action is contingent on the acquisition of the 6 North Bailey property. Item I, discussion possible action regarding the purchase of 2 dump trucks at state contract pricing in the amount of $271,960.40 from street capital outlay account 141455411. Item J, discussion possible action regarding hotel motel allocation board grant application from Pryor Area Chamber of Commerce in the amount of $5,000 for the Oklahoma Tackle Hunting and Boat Show 2023, February 10 through 13, 2023, from Hotel Motel Chamber account 757555090. This action is recommended by the Budget Personnel Committee. Item K, discussion possible action regarding the Hotel Motel Tax Allocation Board final expense report from Lake Area Softball in the amount of $7,499.15 from the 2021-2022 grant from Hotel Motel account 757555096. This action is recommended by the Budget Personnel Committee. Item L, discussion possible action regarding Hotel Motel Tax Allocation Board final expense report from the Pryor Main Street in the amount of $6,771 for lights on downtown community tree from Hotel Motel Main Street account 757555110. This action is recommended by the Budget Personnel Committee. Item M, discussion possible action regarding expenditure in the amount of $3,000 as is in best interest of the city to overdrive for the Thomas J. Harrison Pryor Public Library from Library Non-Book Materials account 02-221-5032. Item N, discussion possible action regarding Thomas J. Harrison Pryor Public Library's renewal of subscription to EBSCO for Learning Express Library and Job and Career Accelerator in the amount of $4,061 from Library Non-Book Materials account 02-221-5032. Item O, discussion possible action regarding rental of the Graham Community Building on April 15, 2023 for a fundraiser honoring Kawita Thornton in order to assist her with her medical bills. Item P, excuse me. Discussion possible action regarding waiving rental fees for the Cherokee Nation Election Commission to use the Graham Community Building on June 3rd, 2023 for their general election and possibly July 8th, 2023 in a runoff election if a runoff election is needed, and authorizing mayor to sign the agreement. Item Q, discussion possible action regarding removing from the table item 6G from the February 7, 2023 council meeting. Item R, discussion possible action regarding authorizing J.C. Carroll to serve as fire code reviewer for the city of Pryor Creek. Item S, discussion possible action regarding disposal of city records according to City of Pryor Creek retention policy as attached. This is a consent agenda. Which items would council like to remove?
Mr.
J.
Mayor, I would like to remove J, K, I, and O.
J,
Yeah.
K, I,
Well, I'm sorry, it's L. I'm sorry, J, K, L, and O.
L,
You got O, okay.
and O. Others?
Yes.
F, G, and H.
F,
P-
G, and H.
P, R, and S.
P, R, and S. Are there others? I have to remove F, G, H, J, K, L, O, P, R, and S. I'd entertain a motion to approve all of the items that have not been removed.
So move.
Second.
Motion Gantier, second Chitwood. Call for vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Item F, discussion and possible action regarding proceeding to bid for the channelization of Bailey Street to Orr Street in an estimated amount of $209,789.38, expensing from Street Drainage Projects Account 14-1455092. This action is contingent on the acquisition of the 6 North Bailey property. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. Discussion.
Yes, I have several questions for clarification. These same questions will apply with G and H, so I probably won't go through them again there, just so you know. I was advised that we have to have a zero rise certificate from an engineer before we can do this, approved by Oklahoma Water Resource Board. If it's not done right, prior homeowners could possibly lose their flood assurance, and that could affect their loans and those things. Do we have that yet?
Mr. Powell.
The answer to the question is no. There's not a zero rise certificate on file for the proposed work. The proposed work is in accordance with to preserve the 100-year, or the elevation certificate that is on file that was done previously. So the intent of this project, both the street widening or the street project and the channelization detention facility, is to preserve that elevation without rising that. The work cannot be done to raise the 100-year flood or raise any of the elevations by more than 1 foot, which is the requirement. So with a zero rise certificate will be issued as part of the project for any of that. And none of the project will affect existing homes that are not impacted by the project or the actual site construction itself.
So before we actually do the work, we will get this, because I agree all this needs to be done. I was just told we have to be careful that we don't do it too fast and then negatively affect our homeowners.
Whoever gave you that information was 100% correct, yes. And it will be done prior to. That's the purpose of this report. The original study was done by Mishak and Associates for this watershed.
Yes, sir.
And their recommendation were that detention and channelization work needed to be in the upper stretches. They did not specifically identify this particular piece of property, just that it was the further up in the reach that you go, the better off you are as far as protection of the properties. And so this property became available, and this is the appropriate location for it. So preservation of that elevation is paramount.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a quick question, Mr. Powell. A couple of years ago, when did Mishak do this study? Within the past few years?
It was 2017, 18, I believe.
Okay.
They completed a study, and we signed off on it it was either 2019 or 2020. I believe it's 2019 in the fall.
Yeah, it was before COVID, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Around that time period, there were surveyors all up in the north part of town. Is that what this was part of the Mishak?
No, that survey is being done in accordance as part of, this is my understanding in talking with the surveyors themselves. I believe the surveyors you're talking about, they were all over the north part of town, and they continued on up Highway 69 north. That is part of a ODOT widening project. They're looking at that corridor of Highway 69. And what they were really looking at was the drainage ditches, the stormwater inlets, and it continues today. In fact, they're still requesting information from us and MUB regarding Mill and Graham Avenue intersection.
Is this on the project that is from Southeast First Street, going 8 miles
Yes.
north?
Yes.
So are they getting the suggestions that MEZAC give us on that section there at Pryor Park?
They're not, the study that's being done right now that ODOT has commissioned doesn't go that far south.
Okay.
If anything, it would have to do with Salt Branch Creek.
Right, correct. Yeah, that's primarily the tributary that they're looking at.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments or questions? Call for vote?
Yes.
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 Item G, discussion possible action regarding proceeding to bid for street drainage Bailey Street Northeast to 225-foot south of Northeast First at an estimated amount of $113,234.82, expensing from street asphalt overlay account 141455410. This action is contingent on the acquisition of 6 North Bailey property. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Okay.
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, call for vote.
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Item H, discussion and possible action regarding approving a work order for professional services, Project 23-01, for engineering design services from Infrastructure Solutions Group, LLC, for the 1, Bailey Street improvements, and 2, Bailey Street detention facility. Project 1 is in the amount of $15,200. Project 2 in the amount of $22,500 to be expensed from street outside services engineering account 141455075. This action is contingent on acquisition of the 6 North Bailey property. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion Chitwood, second
Yes.
Lamar.
Is there a packet page number for this?
Be 75 and 76, I believe,
77.
and 77, yeah,
It has
75 through 77.
It has the breakdown of the budget.
Council, pages 71, 71 through 74 are the engineering estimates. 75 through 77 are the packet items for this agreement.
The question, I've heard that Mr. Powell's gonna be retiring. Is this gonna interfere or be a problem or anything?
I don't know, it will not be a problem. I guess the rumor of that is certainly true. I will be retiring at some point in time. We have other engineers that will be working with me, and I will be transitioning. That's a public announcement.
Which is a shame that you should have had that.
Sorry about that.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
No, that's, if we're gonna make an agreement, we need to know the details.
Call for vote?
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Item J, discussion and possible action regarding hotel motel tax allocation board grant application from Pryor Area Chamber of Commerce in the amount of $5,000 for the Oklahoma Tackle Hunting and Boat Show 2023, February 10 through 23, 2023, from Hotel Motel Chamber account 757555091. This action is recommended by Budget Personnel Committee. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion Chitwood, second Shropshire. Mr. Britton.
Here at your service.
Any questions, comments?
Yes, I have a question. This was approved by the Hotel Motel Tax Board probably back in January, I think.
Correct.
Yes, and it went before the Budget Committee. And it's showing up again on a special meeting of the Hotel Motel Tax Board here in a couple of days.
Right.
If I'm correct, is the proper procedure protocol for all this, is it correct that you come to the council and the hotel, and the Budget Committee after you get your receipts after the event? Is that how it's supposed to work?
So the protocols are that an organization would present to Hotel Motel.
Yes.
And then they would present to council via Budget Personnel Committee, because Hotel Motel is not a recommending board. So Hotel Motel then goes to Budget Personnel. Budget Personnel then recommends then to City Council. In order for them to get money, then they produce receipts. They produce receipts. And so they go back to Hotel Motel with those receipts. Hotel Motel then recommends that they get reimbursed, because this is not something that we don't front the money from Hotel Motel Tax Allocation Board. We give them permission basically to go and work, and then with those receipts, then they get reimbursed.
So it kind of goes through the approval process a couple of times, goes to committee, you give a heads up that we're gonna do this, and then you come back later after the fact.
Correct.
With that information.
Right.
But if they come back after they put in for this grant, then they come back and, let's say the receipts add up to more than what they asked for, they don't get, they only get what they're at, what they asked for.
Yeah,
to
you only
begin
get the application.
with. Yeah, you don't get,
That's correct. For instance, we had one that we asked for 22,000, it came up to 23. We won't get that $300. And so we have all those receipts prepared and ready to present on Thursday night. And so my assumption is if we've got to be able to produce the receipts in order to receive the money.
Right.
And the chamber has fronted the money already.
Right.
okay.
So it comes before the council twice then too in the process, goes through all these committees twice and into us.
Right, that's correct.
So tonight is just the heads up, so to speak, that we're gonna be asking for this, even though it's already been done, and then we're gonna come back again
Well,
in March and.
I had some questions on that too, because there's only one of my hotel motel grants on this agenda tonight, and I have 3 that I'll be presenting on Thursday night. So I called Darla today to ask that very question, why it would be showing up here tonight. And so I don't know why it's on here, but I'm ready to speak to it.
It's
I've got some
because,
numbers.
it's because we went through the process the way we did, and it fell the way it fell.
Okay.
Regarding those meetings, basically that's the reason why.
Okay. So the Thursday night, I'm talking about all 3 different of the, so is this because this is the first grant that I asked for and the other 2 had been asked
I
for
was
by
gonna say, I
Barbara?
know the budget committee, we had already approved the other 2 when Barbara was here.
Oh, okay.
I think this, because this grant was asked for later.
Yeah, because this is
That's
the first
why
grant that I
That's
asked
why it
for.
was showing up several times, and I was wondering, why
Yes.
are we duplicating all this,
Right.
triplicating it?
Okay.
Because we're covering all our bases.
So then, okay. So that answers my question on that. So do we need to do anything tonight then, since it's gonna come up again?
No, we need to vote.
Okay.
We need to vote.
But I will tell you, before you vote, that the turnout on this was phenomenal.
Oh, I know.
They set a record for, in the 23 years they've been in business, they set a record for the first day attendance. And they said had it not been for competing with the Super Bowl on Sunday, they would have blown it away and it'd been the best one they'd ever had.
But they still had over 9,000.
Yeah, 9,700 and something thousand.
89.
89.
And I do want to say something on this. This event could grow into something much larger. It was kind of a transition. Barbara going out, you coming in. So there wasn't that continuity to grab it. The timing fell weird.
That
But-
actually had nothing to do with it.
No, they lost their building in Grove.
Yeah.
It was the old Walmart building, and they sold it. And so they lost their venue. And there's still speculation where they're gonna build a new one to accommodate them, and they won't have a problem doing a show in Grove, because they draw the crowds from northwest Arkansas and Missouri. They feel very, very confident that they will be, in fact, there are already negotiations to come back here because they draw the Tulsa crowd from here. And so regardless, they have said if they could give us 80,000 square feet, we can make this thing even bigger.
Yeah, I talked with him, and he said that they had to turn away 72 vendors because they didn't have room.
Correct.
Which means I would really like to see it happen again.
Oh, it's going to.
It will. And Houston and I have been in contact with Montgomery Production to make sure that going forward, that we have.
And we requested to be
really
a
good
part of all the meetings moving forward and planning for next year, because there was a couple of hiccups at the fairgrounds. And so we spoke with Danny, and so we'll all be a part of that planning next year, and possibly renting some of the barn space next year to expand it out to help us. And so they were very pleased, we were very pleased, and they actually became the chamber members, and so nothing's for free anymore. We won't do anything for it unless you become a member.
But I do,
So,
I do think the Super Bowl hurt us.
yeah.
I do think that.
Yeah.
It was
But
a great event.
Great event, and
I
we're
know,
very
man, it
excited
was
about
good.
it. And typically Grove would give them $10,000, but just based off of our budget, we have to front that money, so I only chose to do 5,000, simply because we gotta watch our budget, and it takes a while to get our money back, so, but they were pleased with that, 110%.
Houston, I was there. It was phenomenal, and I'm glad you all.
And it gave us a really opportunity too, as you see in our booth up front, as we were passing out literature about Pryor, the best restaurants. Yvette did a really good job putting together, go see these restaurants. And Boomerang, we were handing out coupons for Boomerang, and they were packed.
Yeah.
And they were very happy that they were packed. But, and then the number of hotels and things that were rented. Black Bear out of Tulsa is a huge boat dealer. They came down, they were so super impressed. So it was just really a good deal.
We'll have an economic impact report
That was my
for you
next
in the
question.
future.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was on the phone today with a couple of people to just
Now,
try to get
since
some
that's in the
numbers.
county, do they collect, I mean, do we get city sales tax out there too, or just county and state? Is that in the city limits for sales tax?
It's in the city
Yeah,
limits.
that's in the city limits.
It's in the city limits, but the building itself is on county. However, and I'll get with the mayor, because I know sales tax reports are behind. I mean, we can't
Right.
know the day of, so that will be in your packet.
But the taxes are gonna come from the restaurants, the
Yeah.
motels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and all of
Phenomenal.
that.
Gas stations.
Yeah, and all three of the county commissioners were out there, and they enjoyed going out and visiting and buying tackle and all that good stuff as well. And just to throw a plug, if you want to know more about what we're going to do at the chamber for the next year, you can attend the meeting on March 1st out the expo, lunching, and we have a whole laid out plan for moving forward.
Thank you very
Anything
much,
else?
Houston.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Call for vote?
Yes.
Abstain?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
By the way, they even spent money at the paper too.
Amen. Amen.
Well, if you think about it, you were talking about.
Why you didn't tell
97
us that before we voted?
You were saying 9,700 people showed up out there?
Yes.
What's our population in Pryor? So
Yeah.
we doubled our population in Pryor that day.
What, was that counting the vendors themselves or just?
No,
the-
that was ticketed.
So, we have to remember that those vendors stayed somewhere, they ate somewhere. Even if they bought groceries and cooked in a camper, they still.
Item L, discussion and possible action regarding hotel motel tax allocation board.
Did we skip one?
I think we did. Item K, discussion and possible action regarding hotel motel tax allocation board final expense report from Lake Area Softball in the amount of $7,499.15 for the 2021-2022 grant from hotel motel account 757555096. This action is recommended by Budget Personnel Committee. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion Lamar, second Chitwood. Discussion. Hearing none, call for vote.
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Now, item L, discussion possible action regarding hotel motel tax allocation board final expense report from Pryor Main Street in the amount of $6,771 for the Lights on Downtown Community Tree from Hotel Motel Main Street account 75755-5110. This action is recommended by Budget Personnel Committee. Is there a motion?
Motion. I'll second.
Who made motion? Motion Shropshire, second Chitwood. Discussion.
Yes. I just wanted to clarify to everyone and to the public that the tree, the ornaments, and everything pertaining to the tree were paid for out of the police department's budget back in December and October. And this grant is to reimburse the police department through the Main Street group and the hotel tax. So the check will be written to Main Street, and then they will reimburse the city for that. But that's how that came about, and that they are getting half of that reimbursed back into the city's PD budget for that. Just wanted to
That is correct.
expose that to the public.
Thank you, Council Lamar.
So this isn't new money, it's rerouting.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good clarification.
Other discussion? Call for vote.
Yes.
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 Mr. Mayor?
Motion carries.
I
Yes,
would
sir.
also like to just add to the council that the hotel motel tax spreadsheet that was compiled today by the city clerk's office, that they have now only have $878 in the budget for the rest of the year. So basically, there's no more funds available for.
That is correct. We pretty
Until
well.
the new tax comes in from the tackle show.
So,
I'm talking about what's budgeted for the city.
Yeah.
that's correct. That's correct. And the way that works is that there is a budget that Hotel Motel Tax Allocation Board works from. And normally the requests from Hotel Motel Tax Allocation Board is gonna happen sometime after the first of the fiscal year. And that's the way it normally runs. We have been running surplus in that account.
Yes, that's correct.
For now for about a year. And so to be able to take that money and put it to good use instead of holding it is a good idea. So. All right. Item O, discussion and possible action regarding rental of the Graham Community Building on April 15, 2023 for a fundraiser honoring Kawita Thornton in excuse me, in order to assist with her medical bills. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. Discussion.
Yes, I just have a question for clarification. I'm wondering if it's just a mistype in the wording of that. It says that discussion possible action regarding the rental, what is the discussion for the rental?
Were we gonna
Are we
waive the
waiving
fees?
it, or
No.
what are we doing?
No, this is a fundraiser, so they are making money. They are making money with the facility. In order for them to do that requires council action, council approval. If it's just
Like the election coming up on the next one,
yeah, so
nonprofit.
it's a nonprofit. So when we waive the funds, then that requires council action. Also, if there is an organization going to be making money through rental of the facility,
Okay.
then it also requires council action.
Okay.
So is there a percentage or a fee?
Flat fee.
Maybe that should
Yes.
be in this motion?
No, there is a fee. There's
There's a set fee for
There's a
rental,
set
and
fee
that's just
schedule.
standard. City
Yeah.
adopted that policy years ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah, it's a set fee.
And if it's an actual moneymaker for a business, the council's required to, pick up either an amount or a percentage of the sales. But this is not a for-profit. They're not doing this, I mean, they're doing it for
They're making money, but it is for a,
Medical.
is for a charitable cause.
So we're waiving those little aspects of what would normally happen?
No, we're not waiving
There's a
anything.
flat fee for rental.
No, flat fee for rental just requires council action since they are generating revenue.
She's saying we don't get a percent of what.
Mayor, thank you for the explanation.
You bet.
Oh, that's what I was meaning, we're waiving that part.
Other discussion? Call for vote?
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Item P, discussion and possible action regarding waiving rental fees to the Cherokee Nation Election Commission for the use of Graham Community Building on June 3rd, 2023 for their general election and possibly July 8, 2023 if a runoff election is needed, and authorizing mayor to sign the agreement. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Shropshire, second Chitwood. Discussion.
What have they done in the past? Is this a reoccurring?
Yes, we've had them there before.
We have had them there before. I don't recall exactly when.
Well, the reason I pulled this is,
I was gonna say two.
I'm in favor of this. I just didn't understand this page 116 document, what that was about. Is this associated with this?
The 116 is a fire protection.
Page
On
one-
115?
116. It's a Cherokee Nation substitute W-9 form asking for. so-
It's actually page 114 and 115, and it's their agreement
Yeah,
with us that they're renting the facility.
But what is this
They
one?
have to have it on
116,
file.
116, yeah,
They have to have that on file.
they have to have their W-9.
From us.
That's the W-9. They have to have that on file.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's a legal entity.
I was just trying to understand what that is. Gotcha, thank you.
Taxes.
Discussion? Call for vote?
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Item R, discussion possible action regarding no. We have to do item Q as well.
We
that one
we approved Q.
We approved Q, that's correct.
I left that one on there for the other one so that we could do it in
You tried to
order.
mess me up, right?
No, I knew
No,
we had
we're
to pull
good.
that one and do it, pull the other ones.
Good job. Item R, discussion possible action regarding authorizing J.C. Carroll to serve as fire code reviewer for the city of Pryor Creek. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion Mar, second Chitwood. This is on pages 116 through 120 in your packet. You required a contract from our last meeting, and we have supplied that. I trust that you have reviewed it. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none,
I got one question.
we got a question.
BG, can we meet this person?
JC?
Yeah.
We could probably schedule him to show up and talk with y'all. He is a Midwest City fireman, so he lives around that area. So as long as we kind of know a date and time to where he can plan for it. He was actually in the area today, looking at the apartments we haven't actually annexed in, but the apartments going up, he's looking at some of that stuff like he did the district through the industrial park when they were looking at stuff, and he reviews the school plans. So he's in the area sometimes, but I would just ask, since he lives so far away and everything else with everything, we just give
So-
him enough heads up.
You've worked with him a lot?
Yes, actually Chief Thompson's the one that brought him into Pryor years ago, and I joke because Chief Thompson makes a folder on everything he does, and there's actually a J.C. Carroll folder that he made when he was reviewing everybody for the position when they were looking at doing this. So actually Chief Thompson's the one who brought him into our department. When I went to the office in 12, J.C. Carroll was still doing reviews. There was some stuff there, a little bit of change up. The mayor and some of the powers that be started using Terry, but the school stayed with J.C. Carroll just because of the good relationship they had built and how they had phased in the buildings and everything else like that. The industrial parks used them a little bit, other towns around, but yeah, no. JC also works at the state fire marshal's office, so I know him through that deal also.
This is the individual we talked about last council, and we tabled it so that we could bring it up tonight, correct?
That's correct.
Steve, are you just wanting a meeting personally, or do you want him to come before the whole council?
I would like him, if he could, just so we all can know who he is. Yeah.
What we might do is, next council meetings, I mean, we'll just contact him if he's in the area.
Yeah.
We don't want him to drive all the way from Midwest City here to come to,
Give him a short agenda, so
Yeah.
he's not here till 10 o'clock.
oh no, we'll put him.
Put him at the top.
Put him at top.
Yeah.
No, but that's something we can coordinate. It might not be the next one, but I would ask that if we did something with that, with everything else, try to plan it, or even have him look at his schedule, because like today, he was in the area today, so he might have been able to move some stuff around to make it to where he was still here in the area and didn't affect his operation or his time too much.
When is this going to need to be passed?
Or you want to table it again until he comes to see us?
No, we need to go and pass that. Let's go ahead.
I was gonna say, we probably should have somebody on record.
I was just wanting to meet the guy and let everybody know his face, that if you're out there somewhere, you happen to run across him, you know who he is.
Yeah, and we usually, like today, when he was out there, myself, or if I'm for some reason tied up, James is with him, so we almost always 100%, I can't say 100%, but 99% of the time, there's a firefighter rep there, because JC will be like, hey, is this gonna affect you, or how do y'all operate here, and just kind of bounce ideas off each other. So there's usually a fire rep with him when he is out in the public, and even sometimes Kenny will be at those same walkthroughs or evaluations through the village.
All right? Very good. Call for vote?
Shropshire,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Would you like me to reach out to JC, or how would you like that handled?
Please do. That would be great.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You talk to him a lot more than I do.
Yes, sir.
Item S, discussion and possible action regarding disposal of city records, according to City Pryor Creek retention policy as attached. Motion?
Motion.
Motion Chitwood, second. Smith, discussion.
Yes, I asked this to be pulled off because there's such a large number of these that there's no dates associated with it, and I really am not sure what we're voting to get rid of.
Is this city clerk?
Yes.
Okay.
Isn't the column to the to the right of the item, the dates? It's got the years of every document on there.
No, there's a lot of,
There are a few of them that do not have the years on them.
there's quite a few, and
These are items that have been in the back filing room back there. Part of them were brought over from the old building that were left there long before I got there, but, we've been going through those, trying to determine what was really necessary for us to keep according to our retention policy. And a lot of it is just history, but they've been scanning everything so that we will have,
Documentation.
yes, we just won't have.
so they have been scanned?
Yes.
Okay,
We won't
okay.
have the paper copies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. I noticed there was a Walmart exit light that did not have a date on it. Hate it when that happens. Other comments? Call for vote?
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 7, committee reports, budget personnel, Shropshire.
Abstain? Till 14th next month.
Thank you. I believe that we are trying to call a special call meeting for that, because that is during spring break week. and perhaps some others might be,
I
might
think it
be
was moved to
on.
the 9th, didn't we decide?
Okay,
I
the
think-
ninth. You
yeah,
think
The
you're
ninth.
going,
I
okay.
think on March the 9th.
Yeah.
Let me change it to.
Now, that is a Thursday instead of a Tuesday.
Right.
Right,
But it's on March the 9th,
yes.
yes.
Okay, the ninth, okay.
right away, so
And,
sitting there at 6 o'clock,
all right, that's down there.
so I
And item B, ordinance insurance, Mr. Shropshire.
Second of March.
March 2nd? All right, item C, street committee, Mr. Smith.
have a meeting next week scheduled, but at this time, no business
Since we had a special call meeting
last week.
yeah. So if something, if something does come up between now and then, we'll have a meeting.
Right.
Item 8, unforeseeable business, I know of none. Item 9, adjourn, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. Call for vote?
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Item 1, Public Works Authority will call to order. Item 2, approve minutes of February 7, 2023 meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. Call for vote?
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Item 3, discussion and possible action regarding approval of a 3% rate increase for Pryor waste and recycling for all refuse pickup beginning, beginning March 1st, 2023. This action is consistent with the mutual agreement of October 2007 for an allowed 3% increase for refuse pickup. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. I would invite Mr. Bill Dismore, if you would like to come to the microphone, please.
Your heart.
You know, he sat there patient all evening long.
Bruce, I said, doesn't this bring back old memories? What do you think?
Yeah. Terry? Oh, mercy. It's hard to believe it's been 15 years. And when we started the refuse business, Bruce can testify to this, we've been through contractors and issues, and it's been a uphill battle for quite some time. And Jimmy Trammell can probably shed a lot more on the situation as it was, and he begged me for 2 years to get involved in the refuse side of it, and I really didn't want to. And he finally twisted my arm enough that I retired from the transportation industry and dove into something I really didn't know a whole lot about. But we've come a long ways. You know, we've got a great group of employees, guys, and I appreciate Bruce. He complimented the guys on the job that they do, and I've heard all of you guys, you know, voice your appreciation. Prior Information did a great article. Jill Sherman and Ron Dryden, they did a wonderful job. I posted it by the time clock, and those guys were really appreciated. People the job that they were doing. You know, there's always risk involved with those guys. And, you know, when I heard the weather report a while ago, those guys start to work 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I always hate I always worry whenever there's bad weather that they're going to be facing and the elements. But we appreciate the consideration of this raise. Our landfill increases last year were after we received an increase. It was almost 6%, just landfills. So everything's went high. I mean, tires and you know, disposal is. There's only 3 disposal locations around here. In 1985, there were 144 landfills in Oklahoma. Now there's less than 38.
Wow.
So transporting what I usually refer to Pryor Waste and Recycling, we're really a transportation company. We collect it, then we transport it. It just happens to be solid waste is the commodity that we handle. And a lot of challenges. You know, I was telling Bruce earlier about the help, and of course we have guys that hand load the trash. I have two of the main trucks that serve Pryor only have one guy on the back right now. I used to get 3 to 5 applications a month, and now I don't get 5 to 10 a year. So it's getting harder and harder to find guys that will go out there and brave the elements. And those guys on a Monday and Tuesday will lift 15,000 pounds and back that truck.
Wow.
And that's a lot of weight for a human body to do. Thursday and Fridays are a little bit lighter, but we do run everybody twice a week. That's getting a matter of fact, Pryor's probably one of the last ones that run trash twice a week. And, but it's something that's been done for years, decades. So I don't really foresee that changing at any time. But again, I appreciate your consideration of the raise, and it'd be well appreciated. And I give every one of my employees a raise last week because they just deserve it. They work hard.
Now, Bill, last time you were here, we were talking about fuel surcharge and that sort of thing. Can you tell us about your situation right now with fuel?
Fuel is very difficult to predict because right now you're in a time where there's not a lot of agriculture going on. There's no holidays. So that's what's bringing the fuel costs down. We do not know what to expect in the future. At the time that we requested the fuel surcharge, we'd already went into a couple months of almost $5 a gallon charge, which was just eating our lunch. I mean, that was a major pill to swallow. And I'm gonna tell you guys that in 2021, we spent over $200,000 more on fuel than we had in 2020. This past year, it's over $350,000 more. So the fuel really consumed it. We do have a Pryor, and the rest of the municipalities that we serve were real gracious enough to allow us a fuel surcharge to get through that time. If the fuel, and we gauge that fuel by AAA out of Tulsa. We get a report every day that tells us what the average is. And once that average is for 30 days is below 375, we remove that fuel surcharge. Now, the only caution that I have about that is that we don't know what to expect once the agriculture starts and so forth. Yeah, I've talked to our supplier about that, and he said, who knows? That's just something that's not predictable. But again, we appreciate everything the city of Pryor does, and you know, again, my gratitude goes to the employees that go out there every day and keep this town clean. One thing I wanted to say in jest is that we have a lot of, what's the word to use, appropriate word? We have people that like to sleep in our dumpsters. And we see more and more of that, and we have a method of waking them up. And we get a lot of people that jump up and take off, and we had some complaints in the downtown area about trash being scattered, and those guys go through the trash. I mean, they really do. And once they get tired, they lay down and go sleep. So anyway, it's been real interesting. And another thing I want to bring up is that I spoke to a board a while back, and they were talking about the volume of trash and so forth. And one thing in our business that is predictable is that in order for there to be trash, somebody has to buy something first.
Yeah.
And so when we see the volume of trash go up, that tells us how well the economy's doing.
That's right. There's consumers out there.
The thing that's hard to predict now is so many people buy online. And so the refuse volume has increased a lot in boxes and packaging and so forth. So anyway, just a tidbit for the council. And if you ever want to know how the Pryor economy's doing, just ask me. I can tell you by the volume of trash we're picking up. So anyway, thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, council. Any other comments, questions?
No, thank you for the great service you do and picking up the trash and your employees, because they really are great. No, thank you for the job that you do in picking up the trash. I know there's a lot of comments on people. Everybody gets mad because it's a holiday and you don't pick up on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving. I said, don't they deserve a day off too? Well, yeah.
That's only 2 days we take off.
Well, I know, but it's just,
Yeah.
Well, and thank you for the cleanup that you do in the spring.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
That's amazing.
One thing I tell people, it doesn't disappear. It doesn't go away. You might not be able to get it on Christmas or Thanksgiving or a bad weather day, really bad weather day. I think since I've been in business, there's only been 3 to 5 days that we just could not get down the streets. And it becomes a public safety issue when it's slick, we don't want
Sure.
to slide into somebody. Or I don't want my guys to get hit by a car, which has happened.
Yeah.
And I've had guys hit
not worth
anyway, but thank you for the compliments.
Bill, how many employees do you have out there total?
Good question, Terry. We have, at this time, we had 34, and almost all of them live in Pryor. And some will live in Shodo, but in Mays County. So we provide jobs, opportunities in Pryor. And if you know anybody, we're looking. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Bill? Other discussion? Call for vote?
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Item 4, unforeseeable business. There is none. Item 5, adjournment.
Motion.
Second.
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. Call for vote?
Yes.
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 We're adjourned.
Not as fast as Catcher, but.